The time is precisely 6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Chandima Veerakon. Headlines. The Prime Minister says future generations will reap the benefits of development activities. Leader of the House, Dinesh Gunawardena, says there is no issue between the government and Sri Lanka Freedom Party. All roads will be developed as pledged in the President's Vistas of Prosperity manifesto. 100,000 families affected in 9 districts due to adverse weather conditions in the country. In news overseas, the UK and France agree need for action after boat deaths. And in sports news, it's cricket. Sri Lanka wins the first test by 187 runs against West Indies. Local stories in detail. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that future generations of the country will reap the benefits of development activities. The Prime Minister mentioned this while attending to inaugurate the second phase of the Bandaranaike International Airport's expansion project. Expressing his views on the occasion, the Prime Minister said the number of tourists who arrived in the country increased after eliminating terrorism. He said it became the country's main revenue earner. He further said development activities of the airport continued amid the pandemic. The Prime Minister pointed out that Good Governance government did not have any development plan or a target. It is the second biggest development project in the country. It was opened, marking the first step of development as Asia's airline hub linking east and west of the world. Leader of the House, Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, says there is no issue between the government and Sri Lanka Freedom Party. The President has set an example by his expenditure estimate. Recalling the parliamentary traditions, the Leader of the House said it is the tradition to inform a member to arrive in Parliament if he had made a serious incorrect statement. Minister Gunawardena mentioned this as a reply to a question asked by SLFP on a statement made by Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage in connection with President's expenditure accounts. Secretary to the Ministry of Highways RWR Pemasiri says that all roads will be developed as pledged in the President's Vistas of Prosperity manifesto. Steps have been taken to accelerate the development of all by-roads and entry roads and to link those with main road network. He mentioned this while attending a press briefing today at the President's Media Centre. The stretch from Mirigama to Kurunagala on the Central Expressway will be vested with the public in the near future. Mr. Pemasiri said it would be possible to complete the Central Expressway by 2024. The Disaster Management Centre said 14 people have died and over 100,000 families have been affected in the 9 districts due to adverse weather conditions experienced in the country. The DMC said people in Nuwara, Ratnapura, Kagalla, Puttalam, Hambantota, Trincomalee, Batticaloa, Mullaitivu and Jaffna districts have been affected. 22 people were injured and 1 person was missing. 452 houses are partially damaged and 56 houses are fully damaged. Deaths have been reported from Puttalam, Hambantota and Trincomalee. Government analyst Gauri Ramana has rejected a report published today by Daily Mirror newspaper. The report has said the explosion occurred recently at McDonald's in Colombo was due to the change of composition of gas and it had been confirmed by the analyst report. She said their report said the explosion has occurred due to a leak in liquid petroleum gas. The fire had erupted by a spark emitted by nearby electrical equipment in operation at that time. Chairman of the COPE Committee, Member of Parliament Professor Charitha Herath questioned the Chairman of the Board of Directors, including the Chairman of Galloya Plantations Private Limited, as to how 2 private companies hold more power when it comes to the administrative decisions of Galloya Private Limited, which is 51% owned by the government and 49% owned by the 2 private sector companies. These matters were discussed at the Committee on Public Enterprises Committee meeting held chaired by Honourable Professor Charitha Herath yesterday. Officials present at the meeting said that the two private sector companies have more powers to make administrative decisions under the relevant agreement. The Corp also noted that the agreement signed in 2010 would be renewed for another 10 years before its expiration in 2030. A special report with regard to this situation was submitted by the Audit Department. The Corp chairman said that this discussion should be held following the consultation of a said report. Accordingly, the investigation into the Galoya Plantation Private Limited was adjourned until December 6th. To end the local stories, the headlines again. The Prime Minister says future generations will reap the benefits of development activities. Leader of the House, Dinesh Gunawardena, says there is no issue between the government and Sri Lanka Freedom Party. All roads will be developed as pledged in the President's Vistas of Prosperity manifesto. 100,000 families affected in 9 districts due to adverse weather conditions in the country. That ends local news. Continuing with the main news story, Eastern Province Governor Anuradha Yahampath said a special team will be dispatched to inspect the quality of all ferries currently in operation in the Eastern Province. She said the team will comprise Police, Engineering Division of the Provincial Road Development Authority and the Navy. The Governor made this statement when she visited the Kinnia Hospital this morning to see the people receiving treatment for injuries after a ferry capsized in Kurinchan Kerni Lagoon in Kinnia. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Watch Life is brought to you by
Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission.
Continuing with Watchlight, the government has taken measures to introduce a digital payment methodology for expressway users in order to free up congestion at toll booths. Cabinet of Ministers has approved the proposal made by the Minister of Highways to implement the payment methodology. Government has joined hands with all licensed financial institutions to popularize Lanka QR payment methodology with the objective of minimizing use of money physically within Sri Lanka. That ends Watchlight.
Be aware before you follow any vocational course. When you select a training institute, check and verify its registration and course accreditation by Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission (TVEC) without wasting your valuable time and money. Visit and meet skills development officers or career guidance practitioners. Visit www.tvec.gov.lk for more information. Message from Tertiary and Vocational Education Commission.
The headlines of the world news. The UK and France agree need for action after boat deaths. Solomon Islands protest escalate into riots. Germany plans to observe nuclear ban meeting. The UK and France will keep all options on the table to stop migrants crossing the English Channel after 27 people drowned yesterday. The UK Prime Minister and French President said trafficking gangs were risking lives following the worst recorded migrant tragedy in the Channel. 4 people have been arrested in connection with the fatal crossing. 5 women and a girl were among the dead. It was earlier reported 31 people had died, but the total was revised down overnight. In the Solomon Islands, protests in the capital of the city of Honiara calling for the resignation of Prime Minister Manasseh Sogavare have escalated into riots. The dispute stems from concerns of the people of Malaita, the most populated island, over their perceived neglect by the government. The rioters have heavily damaged government and private buildings, and they have burned a building in the parliament compound as well as local businesses in the city's Chinatown. The three parties that will form Germany's new coalition government next month have agreed to seek observer status at a meeting of the UN Nuclear Weapons Ban Treaty. The move is part of the coalition deal that was reached yesterday. The centre-left Social Democratic Party won the most seats in September's federal election, and its leader, Olaf Scholz, is set to become the new chancellor. To end the world news, the headlines again. The UK and France agree need for action after boat deaths. Solomon Islands protest escalate into riots. Germany plans to observe nuclear ban meeting. That ends world news.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take all out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Moving on to development news, the country director and representative of the United Nations World Food Programme in Sri Lanka, Abdul Rahim Siddiqui, visited Jaffna today. He inspected the projects that are being carried out in Jaffna through the World Food Programme. They also met Jaffna District Secretary Ganapati Pillai Maheshan. They had discussions on livelihood programs, including food security, malnutrition, and school lunch programs. That ends development news.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk, and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Moving on with sports news.
Taking a look at sports news, it's cricket and rugby. Sri Lanka won the first test by 187 runs against West Indies today at Galle International Stadium. Sri Lanka declared their second innings when they were 191 for 4 wickets. West Indies was all out for 160 in their second innings. Lasith Ambuldeniya took 5 wickets and Ramesh Mendes 4 wickets. Sri Lanka scored 386 in their first innings. West Indies scored 230 in their first innings. And in rugby, a revolutionary change to Rugby Union's international eligibility rules has been approved by World Rugby. It means from January 2022, a player will now be able to represent a different country after a stand-down period of 3 years. A player can move to a nation of their parents' or grandparents' birth, but can only switch allegiance once. In a surprise move, the ruling was passed yesterday by more than 75% of the World Rugby Council votes. That ends sports news.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency through NSB U Trust for 6 months consecutively. Send more money and increase the chances of winning.
This was news, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Commercial Bank was declared Sri Lanka's best corporate citizen in 2021 by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce on Tuesday night, achieving the pinnacle of recognition for sustainability and good corporate citizenship in the country's corporate sector. The coveted Best Corporate Citizen Sustainability Award 2021 was presented at an award ceremony attended by the cream of corporate Sri Lanka. That ends business news.
This was news, Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
And on economic news, Sri Lanka has welcomed about 29,000 tourists for the first 3 weeks of November. Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority data showed the country welcomed 22,771 visitors in October. Tourism Minister Prasanna Ranatunga expressed confidence Sri Lanka ending 2021 with tourist arrivals between 150,000 and 180,000. A steady increase in tourist numbers is observed after the health protocols in place were relaxed for vaccinated travellers starting October 1st. That ends economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, brings Nanasa app, a trilingual educational mobile app for online learning. With video-based lessons from grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with the Nanasa app. No subscription fees. Download via Google Play Store, App Store, Huawei Store or Windows. Dialogue, the future today.
And finally, taking a look at the weather report, the Met Department says the low pressure prevailed over southwest Bay of Bengal still persists to the east of Sri Lanka. Cloudy skies can be expected over the island. Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in most parts of the island. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in northern, north central, western, Sabaragamuwa, central and Uva provinces and in Puttalam and Trincomalee districts. That ends the weather report.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, brings Nanasa app, a trilingual educational mobile app for online learning. With video-based lessons from grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with the Nanasa app. No subscription fees. Download via Google Play Store, App Store, Huawei Store or Windows. Dialogue, the future today.
And to conclude this bulletin of news, the headlines again. The Prime Minister says future generations will reap the benefits of development activities. Leader of the House, Dinesh Gunawardena, says there is no issue between the government and Sri Lanka Freedom Party. All roads will be developed as pledged in the President's Vistas of Prosperity manifesto. 100,000 families affected in 9 districts due to adverse weather conditions in the country. In news overseas, the UK and France agree need for action after boat deaths. In sports news, it's cricket. Sri Lanka wins the first test by 187 runs against West Indies. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.